Okay, this is part 24 of my walkthrough of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. So I've got the 6 medallions I need to enter Ganon's Castle. And so I guess the only thing for me to do now is to go into Ganon's Castle and defeat Ganon. Alright, so you might notice this Poe looks a little different from ordinary Poes. This is actually a royal Poe. I guess it's the soul of a royal guy. So this Poe actually talks to me, so apparently Poes can talk. This is kind of strange because if you remember in the previous video, those 2 evil witches I defeated, they ascended into heaven. So how is it that creatures that evil could go into heaven, but creatures... I mean, I guess the rich people could have been bad, but I don't think they could have been as bad as the witches. So why is it that they would turn into Poes? So... is it like bad people go to heaven and then good people or mediocre people become Poes? How does that work? Or maybe people can decide to come back and be Poes? I don't know. Alright, anyway, so I'm trying to... You might remember the minigame when I was a child where I had to hit all the rubies with the slingshot. So this is like that, except you use the arrow instead of the slingshot. I probably should have done this earlier. Well, you can probably guess what the reward is. It's a bigger arrow ammo, so I can carry 10 additional arrows. Alright, I got all 10 of them, and it only took me 2 tries. If you remember in an earlier part, I believe it was part 20, I got a bigger quiver by doing that mini game with Epona, the horse. I just had to hit those targets and get a score of, I think it was like 15 or 1600. Okay, so the blue potion there, which she calls the ultimate potion, that you get from going through the Big Goron trading sequence, that restores both hearts and magic, and the green potion only restores magic. So since I have all these rubies, I might as well use them. Okay, so Sheik's been waiting for me. Now she's just telling me another story about, you know, the Sacred Triangle and the legends and all of those things. So apparently, if your heart is good, and you touch the Triforce, then you get all 3 pieces of the Triforce and you govern all. But if your heart is evil, then you only get 1 piece of the Triforce, and the other 2 pieces go to whoever is most worthy. So I guess because Ganondorf is evil, he only got the piece of the Triforce that was most associated with him, the Triforce of Power. So I just noticed she's... Okay, wow, that's Zelda. So the whole time Sheik was Zelda. You know, she also said she was the one sage destined to rule them all. Even if that's true, doesn't that come across as a bit arrogant to say I'm destined to rule over all of these other sages? I guess she is a princess, she's royalty, so that kind of makes sense. I still wonder where Zelda was hiding out during those 7 years. I mean, you can look literally everywhere in the game and you will not find Zelda. Well, I guess that just means she chose a good hiding spot then. And whatever happened to Impa? Did Impa die within the 7 years? How did Impa die? What happened to her? Okay, so Ganondorf apparently has the power to just crystallize people. Now I wonder why Ganondorf hasn't just crystallized me already. I was thinking at first maybe because I have the Triforce of Courage, so maybe it gives me some protection against the Triforce of Power, like maybe they counteract each other. But she has the Triforce of Wisdom, and that didn't help her. Oh, and another thing, what does the Triforce of Courage even do? Like, wisdom, that makes you smarter. That's kind of obvious. And power, well, that's obvious too. That makes you stronger, and maybe it's giving him all these magic powers. But courage, I mean, what's so great about that? Okay, so the power of the 6 sages created this bridge. I wonder what else they can do. Like, can they help me in battle and teleport enemies away? Or what sort of powers do the 6 sages have if they can just create a bridge out of nothing? I wonder if there's anything to the side here. Nope, nothing. Okay, so you might notice the graphics look slightly different, like the text there looks different, and the counter for the arrows and the bombs look different, and the mirror shield doesn't have these symbols on it. So right now I'm using what's called a texture pack. These are actually fan-made packs. They're custom, not supported by Nintendo, but it's just someone goes through and manually replaces the images. Like, you see these tunics here are different. They probably designed the images for the tunics themselves. So other than that, it's not all that different, but I just thought it might be a nice change. I'm just doing this for this video only. Okay, so now I'm in Ganon's Castle, and there's this large barrier around the center, so I'm assuming that's where Ganon is, and there are these 6 barriers that I have to go in. So I have to go in each of these 6 rooms to dispel the 6 barriers, so I can enter the center of Ganon's Castle. Okay, and the reason I'm starting... that's a really precarious position right there. If that light were to eat me, it would throw me off into the abyss, and then I wouldn't be able to defeat it and get my stuff back. So if you're playing along with me, then you gotta be careful of that light. Okay, anyway, so what I was saying before is that the reason I chose this Shadow Temple to enter in first, or I guess it's like a replica of the Shadow Temple, the Shadow Door, whatever you want to call it, is because you can actually get an item in this, a big chest, and this is the only room out of the 6 where you can do that. And this item that you get will actually help you in other parts, or in other rooms, like the fire room. Alright, the golden gauntlets. So these are like the silver gauntlets, but they're even better. You might have remember that huge block that was outside of Ganon's castle that led to a dead end? With the golden gauntlets, you can actually move those giant blocks. Now out there is something that doubles your defense. So if something would normally do 2 hearts of damage, it'll only do 1 heart of damage. So that's, imagine, as you can imagine, that's incredibly useful because it essentially doubles all the hearts you've collected throughout the game. It seems kind of overpowered to me, but it's there if you want it. I'm personally not going to get the double defense upgrade because it seems like it kind of defeats the purpose of the 3-heart challenge. And on top of that, I'm already using fairies and things, and I think some people who play it don't use fairies, so I'm already making it easy enough as is. It'd essentially be like I had 6 hearts if I were to get that double defense upgrade. Okay, so each of the 6 rooms has one of these. I'm not even sure what you call it. It's like an orb inside of some plasma lines. But you just have to hit each of those evil orbs with a light arrow, and that'll dispel that part of the barrier. And like I mentioned before, when you dispel all 6 barriers in this way, then that allows you to enter into the center of Ganon's castle. That's where you fight Ganon. Or I guess he's Ganondorf right now. Okay, so I got the golden gauntlets and dispelled the first barrier. I'm 1/6 of the way there. So, normally these rooms are remotely based on their temple counterparts. Like, for example, the Shadow Temple uses the Eye of Truth, just like the actual Shadow Temple does. And I guess this is based off the Ice Cavern, which even though it wasn't part of the Water Temple, you had to go through the Ice Cavern to get to the Water Temple and get the Iron Boots. So even though these are rooms, they aren't like exact replicas of the temple, they generally resemble it somehow. Alright, I had to use up one of my bottles, and I didn't want to use up my only fairy, so I just used, it seems like a waste, but I used up one of my ultimate potions. So only blue fire can burn that red ice there. You can't use fire or dim fire or anything like that. Well, I guess it kind of makes sense that blue fire would be hotter than red fire. Like maybe if you're cooking something, like maybe if you have a fireplace or you're cooking something on a gas grill that uses fire, you notice at the very bottom where the flames are the hottest, they're blue, and then when the flames aren't quite as hot, they're red. So I guess this blue fire is really hot. You know, you'd think it would burn Link to hold this bottle. I mean, where does he keep all this stuff anyway? But I guess I'm not really complaining because I wouldn't want to be burned, or I wouldn't want the fire to go out. Okay, so I can see that red fire over there. That's probably where I need to go. So this is another puzzle, I guess. It's similar to the one I did in the Ice Cavern. Okay, so now that hole's covered up, I can push this other block past it. You know, it's too bad all of my bottles are full right now. I imagine there's going to be a time when I really could have used that fairy. Uh-oh, I think I just went in the wrong door. Oh, jeez. I should have seen that coming. I'll get more blue fire just in case it's needed somewhere later. Uh-oh. So I just went in the wrong door again. I just went back out to the entrance. Alright, that's not a big deal though. I don't have to go that far. Okay, so luckily because I already pressed the switch, I don't have to go through this block pressing thing again. I can just go straight to the door on the other side of the room. Alright, it looks like that's it, so I didn't need the blue fire after all. I wonder if these sages can just appear in midair anywhere, or if there are some special properties about this room that allows them to just appear in here. Are the sages even physically in the room? Like, can they pick up things and touch things? Or is that just like a hologram or something they're showing me? Like they're mentally communicating with me? Okay, another one of these Wolfos. I think there was actually 2 of these at the beginning of the forest temple, so this kind of makes sense. So I guess that's something odd with the texture pack. They don't appear blue when they're stunned. That's probably something that the designers forgot to include. Blue ruby, that isn't all that helpful. Why did they even bother to put that there? Okay, so I'm guessing the way you do this, since there's 4 torches here in the center of the room and 1 up above the door on the other side, you have to use Din's fire to light these 4, and then fire arrow to light that 5th one up there. Oh, come on. Almost had it. I really think that should have done it, because that was like the fire was all over the torch. Oh no. So now because I kept missing, now I have to use up more magic power for 2nd Din's fire. So that took out like half my magic dodge right there. It's a good thing I have that blue potion. Now there were actually rumors. I forgot exactly what it said, but in the Kokairai Forest, there's this girl with her own unique sprite, and supposedly there's this rumor that she could have been like the Wind Temple Guardian or something, but eventually because it's really unusual for characters that don't have any significance in the storyline to get their own unique sprite. But so supposedly she was going to be in charge of this Wind Temple or something, and this is the only remnant of the Wind Temple in here. This part from Ganon's Castle, but like supposedly it was scrapped or something. These are just rumors that I heard. I can't verify it, or I can't say for sure if they're true, but that's just kind of an interesting tidbit. I'd better be careful, because I think if I fall into the abyss one more time, it might be over for me. I forgot if it takes away half a heart or a full heart. If it takes away a full heart, then I'd be done if I fell in again. But either way, I should probably be careful. Okay, so this is it. I gotta be really careful about this, because if I fall in again, I'm gonna have to redo all of the work I've done up until now. Well, I just mean, you know, collecting the grave rubies in this particular room. It doesn't mean like going through the entire Ganon's Castle or something. Okay, some magic power and a heart. That's helpful. You know, it's strange, but I just get some sense of satisfaction out of shooting these little blobs. You know, this Ganon's Castle part is actually one of my favorite parts of the entire game. Just because there's so much variety in it. And it's really nostalgic to look back at the temples you completed and to see the sages you talked to or freed or unlocked or whatever you did with the sages. Okay, I think that's the third barrier I've dispelled. I've dispelled the shadow barrier, water barrier, and forest barrier, and that means I have 3 to go. Okay, so this is just another room where you have to collect all the silver rubies. At least those blade things only take away 1/4 of a heart. Oh, that's really unfair. They force you to stand there for him to wait for the door to open, and then the spike comes and attacks you. Okay, these guys give out magic power. That's really good. So this is one of the few moments in the game where you're required to have those bomb mouses, the bomb shoes or something. Uh-oh, I only have 3 left. I better make this count. Oh, that didn't do it? That was so close. Alright, now I only have 2 left. Yes, I got it. Uh-oh, one of the shadow enemies. Okay, I got the sun on the second try, not bad. I think these jars contain magic power or something, so I want to get all the magic I can. Alright, that's the 4th barrier I've dispelled. I just dispelled the spirit barrier. So to even enter this part, you need the golden gauntlets. Holy cow, look at that. That is just massive strength. To take an enormous, like a pillar or a column like that, and to just toss it like it's nothing. You know, it's interesting, because there's no Temple of Light. This is the only thing we have in the game to even get an idea of what the Temple of Light could have been like if it was included. So I guess apparently it includes the Eye of Truth. That's kind of ironic because you obtain the Eye of Truth after you go to the Light Temple, but I guess it's not really important since there isn't actually a Light Temple. You know, it's funny. I think this is the only room out of the 6 that makes use of small keys. So I guess maybe that means that maybe I'm looking into this too much, but it could mean that out of all of the 6 temples, the Light Temple, if it did exist, would have made the most use of keys. Not again. I don't see an invisible chest. I mean, you know, the chest you can only see with the Eye of Truth. I don't see it here either. Oh, I bet I know what it is. It's one of those Triforces that aren't appearing due to a graphical error. The texture pack probably just makes it worse. Okay, another small key. You know, another reason why they might only have one room with a small key is because, you know, if there were multiple rooms with a small key, maybe you take a small key from one of the rooms and use it on another one, and that'd create complications, so maybe they just wanted to have small keys for only one of the rooms. You know, these 6 rooms are actually fun. I almost wish they were longer. Okay, so this is actually a fake door. If you use the lens of door, you can see that it's not real. So this actually makes more use of the lens of truth than the shadow temple, or the shadow room part. Okay, how many barriers have I dispelled? I believe it's 5. Because means I did the spirit, light, water, forest, and shadow. Yep, that's 5 barriers. So the only barrier I have left now is the fire barrier. So you actually have to have the golden gauntlets in order to complete this room. So just in the event maybe you're playing along, don't go in this room unless you have the golden gauntlets first, which you get from the shadow room. Look at that, wow, he just tosses it across the room. I mean, those golden gauntlets must be something. You'd think with something that powerful, I mentioned this with the silver gauntlets, that those sword slashes would be way more powerful. I mean, you'd think he would, like those enemies with the shields, you'd think he would just bash through the shields. Like he could hit them with one finger and make them fly across the room or something. I mean, that is like super strength. So anyway, this is another silver ruby thing where you have to collect all of these silver rubies, and then that opens the door with bars on it. Alright, so we get to see this again in real time. So these creatures actually produce magic power. That's pretty useful. Too bad that one fell into the lava though. Alright, I got all the silver rubies. Now I just have to make it to that door. So it looks like not even the long shot can reach from all the way over here. So I guess I'm going to have to get on that platform that descends into the lava. I better be quick about this. Uh-oh. Alright, it looked like I didn't have much time left. It's a good thing I got up here. Alright, I got some magic power. That's pretty useful. Here it comes, the 6th barrier. And there it goes. Alright, so I dispelled all 6 of the barriers. That's all I need to enter into the center of Ganon's castle. I've just kind of been wondering, when it shows this really sped up motion of you leaving this room and going back to the center of Ganon's castle, is that like the power of the sage teleporting you back to the center? Or is Link just going out himself and they're just speeding it up for you? Alright, anyway, so I've dispelled the barrier, so there's nothing stopping me from entering the center of Ganon's castle. So join me next time on the 25th and final part of my walkthrough of The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, where I go into the center of Ganon's castle and battle Ganondorf himself.